Okay, I'm moving on with in this video is going to tackle the guessing game example problem. And this game is going to be building off what we did up in the random statement. So we have a program that we built that will have the computer generate a number. Okay, now we're going to take that to the next level and have the user try to guess what the number the application, the computer is picking up. And so it's a guessing game. Okay. So if I go into the module here and I click on it, and I have some brief instructions. There is a step-by-step and notes that I'm asking you guys to click on to follow during this procedure. I will be showing you much of the code and referring back to this as well. Likewise, there's a video here that I'm launching, which you guys are going to have to follow as well. It's an online video of this, right? So I'm going to go ahead and click on and open up this guessing game where it says click right here, and the nose load up. And as you can see at the very top here, that um, we're going to be adding two new controls, two more labels, one that says results and one that says number of guesses. Now, you guys had a box there, a text box there that was displaying the results. When you clicked on the start, it would display that. So we're going to be keeping everything we got here and just building on to make this a more functional and user friendly. Okay. Again, this video is driven by the YouTube video. These are four things in our notes that I think it's highly important, dealing with the then else statement, the loop, and do until, and then method boxes. Okay, these are valid questions. These are codes that are generating. Now, for us to be successful, I don't want us to actually go back and select the same program that we did. I'm going to be asking us to, let's go to the GDD folder. Let's find that example problem 1A or example problem 1, and let's copy the whole folder, which I'm going to do with you, and duplicate it. So we're actually building off a copy of the application, not the same program, because sometimes programs get corrupted, programs go bad. And so you have an isolated of the random statement, okay, of that example 1. I want to copy it and paste it and kind of make this like example 1B. So I'm going to start by going into the document folder. I'm going into the GDD, going into module 1, and you see at this time this was the first program we did, which was that tip calculator, and this was that example problem 1 folder. Now, if I go in there, there's a lot of folders. Okay, when you create it's unlike Word. When you create an application, it creates a lot of program. This is the actual program itself, but I want to take you back one level. Go back one level, and we should be in by clicking on this folder. And what I want to do is kind of copy that folder and paste it. So we're duplicating the application. And so we're going to work on the one we copied. So if I right click over that folder and I come down and I go copy, and then I take my mouse down below and I go paste, look what happens. It all the files, everything is duplicated. Okay. And so I'm just going to make a subtle change just to this folder by going rename, okay, which is right here. And I'm just changing one copy and putting 1B, because really this is 1B. The first one was 1A. This example problem is 1B because it's kind of like the same program. I gave you credit for example 1. Now we're going to continue building on this, and I want to get credit for when we get this application finished, because it was too much to put into one grade, I felt. Okay, so there's many ways you can open and load this program. You can go down to the Visual Studio's icon on the taskbar, but I'm just going to show you here. I'm not going in example 1, problem 1 anymore. I'm going into what I just copied and pasted. That's what I'm going to be building on. So if I open that. And the first level down, you see that example problem one. I'm not trying to change the name here. I was just trying to change the name on the folder because we're dealing with another program, the same program, but a copy of it. So by clicking on right here, this example problem one, which is the copy one, it's then going to load the Visual Studio's program. Okay, what we had previously had built. Okay, so as this is loading up, you can see the form loaded up. We still have all the controls here on the left-hand side. We have all the properties. If I come down here and say, yeah, these some of the properties we rename, like the label select, the number, and the TXT. We didn't really rename all of them. Like we didn't relabel label one, which is the title, and we didn't rename label two, which is select a game, game range. Okay, so we didn't do that. Okay, but it's all right. Um, I only tried to specify when you're using some of the property name in the code, that's when you're going to have to redo them. So I'm not going to delete this text box anymore, this output. At the end of I'm going to extract that out because this is giving us the right number. Again, when we ran this program, like we did last class period, now if I just run it right here and I give us a range from 1 to 6 and hit start, it's telling us that it gave us the computer's thinking up of a number one, and I hit start again or change the number. Let me just change a higher number here up to 10 or something and hit start again. See, and you should try to see if it continues to give you a different number. Okay, sometimes you need to slow down and not click as fast. Okay, as you can see how I was jumping around. So I'm going to go ahead and stop this program right now so we can move in a direction to enhance it. Okay, so at this particular time, I'm going to take us back over to the notes so you can see what I'm talking about. We just had copied this 1A and we renamed it to 1B. Okay. I'm now dissecting the notes before we get into this application. We're going to be dealing with the if then else structure in this program. Okay. And I've given you examples here, just the bare minimum, because when a program has to make a decision, like you toggling, like, are you a male or a female? That's a decision it has to make. You're toggling from the male or the female. If you have to enter in your age in a text box, that could be a decision. As you can see here, if we have a variable that says age is less than 19, maybe, or 18, if you are having a decision whether, how go driver's ed or not driver's ed. This could be number 16 based on how old you are. Okay. You have to take the test. These different level of the if and else. So the if and else is a structure that we're going to be using here. And there's a condition. Okay. And the condition is basically age and then the operator in terms of trying to make that assessment. Okay. And there's a lot of different decisions. There's equals, less than, greater than sign, which is probably the most common three. Okay. Here's a perfect example. Then if I drill down of what the code may look like, you're going to have an if score, or this is a variable is made up of score here. Okay. It's greater than 90. Then, okay. So if this is true, if your grade, let's say your grade was like a 95, it would you would have the message box that said excellent. Well, if this wasn't a number higher than 90, then it would skip this line and go to the else if. It's making another test, okay? In this scenario, if we had typed in a 75, then it would say good job because 75 is greater than 70. Okay. Therefore, it would skip this last else and go right down here. It would not project. So you have three statements that's going to be projected here, either excellent, either good job, or keep practicing based on one number. And this is a perfect example of what the code may look like. Okay. This code where we're doing now is a loop. The program is going to continue to run until you guess the right number. Okay. And it's got to count how many times you're guessing. So if you tried to guess, three, it took you three chances to guess, then that's going to report at the end that it took you three chances to guess the number. Okay. So what a looping is doing, it's going to continue to run through a cycle until it meets a criteria. Okay. And so there's a do while, there's do until, and then there's for next. And these are all different types of loops. We're going to be focused on the do until in this activity. Okay. So here's again, I'm on the notes of this assignment. I'm just broadcasting this out. So here's an example of a do until in terms of trying to show you an example. So if we had like of just the letter I, whatever I may be, as an integer, it's going to be a variable. I is a variable. And we had I equal to 1, okay? So therefore, I is equal to 1. And so it's now testing, is I greater than 5? Well, if I is now 1, that is then no, it's not greater. So it's going to go down here, print the number 1, and then the third line down here, I equals I plus 2. So I will then at this point be equal to 2. All right. I was equal to 1 up here, but we're adding 1, which is I is 1 plus 2, but 1 plus 1 is 2. Okay. So when it gets to loop here, it's going to circle back up and do this again. So when it reads this the second time, I is going to be equal to 2. So this is a perfect example that this is counting. This is counting how many times I is being improved, and it's being improved by 1. So when it gets to 5, so let's say is 5 greater than 5 after the fifth loop around here, that would be a false. It would go to the loop and kick out and see the loop is finished. Okay, so this is a very easy, simple program that will just making a test on a loop. Okay. I get into defining the dim, defining I equals 1, what each of these lines actually mean and what's going on. All right. So I'm asking you to debrief this so you can hopefully understand what's going on. All right. Then there's going to be a variable dealing, I mean, not a variable, a key component, keyword dealing with a message box. Okay. And that's going to display information to you about during the looping process. So if I scroll back up here, it would be similar to printing out whether what number you're on, or if you got the guess right or wrong, which we're getting into. Okay, so and that goes hand in hand with the input box. Okay, so if I scroll down, and we're going to be starting this application by putting two more labels on this application. Two more labels. Okay. So I already have my program open. I have the form right here. And so again, I'm going to be working with you is to drag and drop one label over here and then another label. Now, you may ask yourself, why were these classified as label 3 and 4? Well, if I come over to here, we had a label 1 already. We had a label 2 already. By bringing in another label, it classified it as label 3. And I brought another one out here. It's classified as label 4. Okay. But we're going to have to try to change these labels' names. So all you're doing is follow along with Mr. Proctor in this video. I'm now letting you know the only change to the form from example 1A to example 1B is adding just two more labels. And that just took me like 10 seconds to add two more labels. Okay. So really, we're done with part 1. We just manipulated this form by dragging in two more labels for this program to be successful. I'm now going to go back and click on label 3 right here. Okay. With label 3, I'm scrolling all the way up to the name property. And I got to scroll all the way up to the name property because I simply want to rename this control. And I'm going to call this lowercase LBL, and what I'm doing here is where it's called label 3. I'm hitting the delete button, and I want to type in lowercase LBL for label. There's three letter stamp labels, capital R for results, and I'm just going to call it LBL results. Okay, and I'm going to hit enter. Okay. Well, if you come up here, you can now see LBL. I'm going to be using this in the code, so I'm renaming this as a label. Now I'm going to go down to the text property, scroll all the way down to the text property, and I'm then, okay, it is called in the text property, it's called label 3. I'm deleting label 3, and I'm actually typing in the word results. okay, with a capital R. When I click results and click away, you can then see over here that the label, if I just do the notation right here, you can see I've changed that, okay? So please be mindful of that. So I'm going to proceed on and now get into this other label, label 4 down below here, okay? So if I click on label 4, and I go all the way up to the name property, this is a longer one now, okay? I'm gonna call this lowercase LBL, then uppercase number, okay, of guesses. Okay. Notice how I had the end and number capitalized and then guesses, in some sense capitalized as well. Okay. ES, guesses. Okay. So I click away and you can see it's still label 4, but if I click up here to this properties, you can see how that label 4 now has changed its name. Okay. If I draw all the way down to the bottom to the text property, I'm then going to physically just write number of guesses. Okay. And you can see, I have spaces in between there and click it. You can see number of guesses. The big difference is when you name in these properties, again, up above for the name property, you can't have spaces, okay? If I come back over the notes real quick so I can review the notes so you can see the code that needs to be displayed. All right, so I'm on the notes and you can see what I just added with the two variables, okay? But now I'm back in. First going to show you how to get this text wrap in before we can go ahead and type in. I've given you all the code in this video. But if you guys pull down the edit right now and go to the advanced on the menu and then scroll over and down to word wrap. If I click on word wrap right now, see how my bar has everything moving to the right. Well, I want the text wrap down. This is all one line right here. So if I come over to the edit and go advanced and text wrap, it allows it to text wrap around. So here you go. I'm now displaying inside the button the first couple lines I'm adding in here. I'm doing an if statement on a text box, okay? The guessing. That guessing is that text box right there. I'm doing a test to see if that text box is equal to 0. Okay, you as a user during runtime should be giving a number like 2, 3, 10, 100, 500 in terms of the guessing game. Okay, and then so if this is true, okay, if there is a 0, you'll have a message box displaying this information. So I'm asking you guys to type really all of this stuff here, all right, in terms of successfully completing this. All right. So if this is true, it's going to exit this message box and put you back on the program. It's because you should not get penalized when you messed up and didn't change the number higher number. So all this is basically doing is exiting the program because you have a message that you did not select the right number to the guessing game. So if you could type this line, if number range.text equals 0, then you're going to have a message box. And what you see in the quotes in the comma are denoting the errors that are displaying. You need to enter a number of guesses. Now, when you see the stuff is in red, that means that's in quotation. Okay, everything's in red's in quotation or as you see it. Okay, and then it's going to display an OK button and a message box, and you can toggle and have different OK or different errors. I'm just trying to keep it simple right here. So, an if statement. If, then, and else. So I'm giving you if you have to pause the video to type these couple lines here, please do so right now. Another variable here that I'm using up above, which I think it's that guess count. So if I go back over to the notes, you can see guess count equals 0. We need to add this line of error guess count that you create to 0 because right now your guesses are 0. When you're playing the game, you're establishing you haven't guessed yet, so your guess count is then equal to 0. So if I go back over to the program and I type in guess count and I see it showing up there equals to 0 and then push enter, you can see how I am adding that line in there. Okay. So just simply adding a line to this application. So we're establishing, and I think I may have brought this down too far if you want to bring some of this. So we created an if then else statement in part 2 of this code, and we added a guess count equal to 0. So I'm now going to show you where you're going to be putting this do and tell. So right after this txt.text equal computer number, I'm going to then hit enter a couple times. Okay, because this big block of code that you're going to be needing to type in, big block of code that you're going to be needing to type in, is going to be housed in the notes on page 5. Okay, so dealing with the do until guess equal computer number. So you're going to have a variable of a number that you're going to be entering in, and that's going to be your number. Okay, is that going to be equal to what the computer number is? So it's either going to be true or false in this scenario. So if this is not a true statement because your guess is like, let's say 1 out of 5, you chose 2, and the computer's thinking number 5, then it's going to go down and do all this stuff. If this number equals this number, if your guess number eventually equals the computer number, it's going to jump all of this and leave the loop. Okay. It's only going down in here if your number is not equal to the line here, real quick. I just typed that first line of the do while loop, which was do until guess number equals guess number, and I hit enter. And what's cool about this, the program automatically gives you the loop. It'll give you the loop at the end. So if I go back to the program and you can see I typed in do until guess number and I hit return, it automatically then forces in that loop. So this is the area right here. I'm going to clean this up. This is the area right here that I'm going to hit return a couple times down to bring in this other content that is inside this big structure to see if you're making the right choice, or the computer testing the number that you choose to make the game either understand you got the right number or it's giving you the wrong number. So if I go back to the notes again, I see 1 if, I see 2 if statements, and I see 3 if statements. Okay. So once again, if you're inside here, I'm verbally telling you that we're making another guess on a test with this. Okay. And it's pretty much could be the same code, okay, because it's making a test again. But then we have a guess equals input, enter a whole number, not 0. So it's another, like somebody may want to type a 0.5. This is actually doing another test in terms of verbally telling you. So you will have an input box that it tells you you're doing something wrong. Okay. Then, ladies and gentlemen, you'll have an if statement. If your number is higher than what the guess number, it gives you a hint and it says your guess is too high. If your number is too low, okay, of your number, then your guess is too low. So we got to understand that this is a process that is going through to see if your number is either too high or too low. If your number was the number that the computer was thinking, it doesn't go in there. It skips all of this in loops. Okay, so we got 3 different tests here that I'm asking you guys to try to complete. Going down in here and placed in the code that works with this application. Okay. Again, we're going to be starting off with a message box where it's asking you guys to enter a number. Okay. If you feel like you want to just run the program after you get this, you're not going to probably get any results. Okay. And it's probably not going to work efficiently, but you can see what the input box looks like. Okay. But you have 1 if, 2 if. Your goal is to type this if, then this if then else structure, then this and else structure. When it gets down to here, this is where it's counting. Coming in here, your default guesses were 0. But if you go into this loop, it's then going to make your guess count 1. So it's 0 plus 1 is going to be 1. That would be classified as your first guess, and you were not right. Okay. If you go through it a second time, okay, and you enter a number and maybe you're not right, your guess would be 1. So it would be guess count plus 1. So guess count would then be classified as your second guess. Okay. So once you do type all of these lines in here, then come up and try to hit play again to see what the program is doing. We're still not going to be done, but just you got to test it out periodically. And if you're getting any red squiggly lines as you're typing it, therefore you're not following the rules. Okay, just like in a word program, when you misspell a word, you're going to have to try to type this code correctly, or you'll see that red squiggly line. To the notes as we try to finish this up. We're going to have three more lines of code. Okay. And so this is where I was trying to make your label visible. I didn't write the code to make your visible not visible or false. So this just helps makes this label visible on the machine, which we can go up and turn it off, but it's not important. But if you can type this, make sure that this label of the output is visible. We're then displaying the number of guesses you got. It took you to get it correct. Um, or yes, saying that you got the answer correct, and then it's actually telling you the number of guesses. So you're going to need to add in these three lines here if you can, right above the line where it says play again. Really doesn't matter about the order of these, but since I'm giving you a picture of this, it should help you out. Okay, just realizing that once you're done here, you're going to have to be doing a lot of screenshots. And I think for the most part, if I look at my Word document here, I got the last screenshot, I got a second screenshot, I got my first screenshot, I got the guessing game screenshot. I got the questions here that you're going to have to answer. So you're going to have to answer these before you submit it, but you're going to need to be going file save, saving this as example problem 1B with your last name, and then save it again as a PDF file where you're going to be going back to the website to be submitting this application. So for the most part, this completes this video of the guessing game, and I hope you guys have enjoyed it.